Yes, I think Bitcoin Cash was a proof of concept, but not sustainable. No, I think these are the platforms. Just looking at my notes. Okay, so Casey and Gavin have a podcast. I believe it's called Great Bitcoin Flippening, and they talk about it all the time. So definitely follow Casey and Gavin if you want to learn more, and definitely follow everybody in the space tonight, and especially D&D and co-hosts and me. Anyway, join the community, the Honeybee Lounge up top. We like to have focused discussions on during the week, and then on the weekend we play games and we get silly in Buzz After Dark, which is on Saturday nights on Spaces. Even though we are planning a live event for NYC NFT in September, so stay tuned for that. It's going to be great.
So
Enroll
this
event. Yeah.
BSV,
Hmm.
and so like what I've gathered from it was like the Bitcoin Cash what came around because they felt like Bitcoin was kind of like deviating from the original vision, and now
Hmm.
these people are splitting off of Bitcoin Cash because they feel like that's deviating. Is that right?
More or less.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I mean,
So BSV is basically just focused on scaling the original vision for Bitcoin, which was real world utility, not just like a speculative coin. So the differences are massive when you really like look under the hood and have all the puzzle pieces put back together that they intentionally took out because of the massive ripple effects that this technology globally adopted would do to their current control mechanisms. So BSV, the transactions are just super cheap and scalable. It allows for like data and smart contracts directly on chain, which is a big deal and not possible on a lot of other systems. And it's just a public infrastructure, to keep governments transparent and honest for all the data and to keep AI regulated and, like she said, apps and all of our digital properties. And, it's not a digital gold. It's a way for us to, have a heart to heart, peer to peer connection without anybody in the middle, like sucking off of our energy and between each other. So, BTC is scarce and it's like a store value, but BSV is like plumbing to the next evolution of the internet.
so it's like it's designed for like micropayments for like you and I to do transactions.
Yes, and
Bro,
really like AI too, agent to agent
it's
is
Web
really gonna
three, bro.
be
It's Web
what
three.
scales this. I think
This is the
AI
Web.
is gonna scale it faster than you and I do, but yes, definitely peer to peer. Whether that's human or agent to agent.
This is what Web three was supposed to be. The original vision when we were.
Yes.
It was back when they just dropped Bitcoin. They just dropped Dogecoin. It's supposed to be decentralized.
Yeah. Thank you, Casey Nicole. And feel free to jump in anytime with this recap and ask any questions, guys. So Twitch was kind of like a pay-per-view model for social media. Like you would post and it would cost a little bit, and then someone would like it or watch it, and that would cost them a little bit, but then it would like sort of become all these microtransactions that turn into almost a living thing. But it only works if like the masses are there, and it's if the energy has to be there. So um I could see that being a way to own your own data, um, revolutionizing how we do social media for sure.
So you can imagine why they stifled this technology. So I think Gavin is back to explain like this Killing
Perfect.
Satoshi documentary and how it's going to try to get the narrative under control and get the truth out there so we can actually use this technology. So, Gavin, are you back? Hi. Thanks for coming.
Welcome, Gavin. I don't think we did. No. I'm kind of camera shy. I don't know.
So it's like that's super important for everyone out there to first of all get to one of your events. It sounds like you have events coming up. So I would encourage people to go to those events and meet, because that's where, the internet becomes real. Otherwise, it just becomes real and tangible, and it becomes a building lifelong relationship. And that's what it's about. It's about a peer-to-peer connection with other people. And that's what Bitcoin's purpose is. And so in fundamental, before we go over to the movie stuff, but let me just kind of touch base here on the on some of the use. I mean, I think you guys were talking a little bit about, Casey was talking about the differences between the protocols. So really, BTC is not, it's not in the same dimension as what's going on here. So that's it's really not a good use. It's not even comparable. A better a better comparison would be Ethereum. All right, Ethereum would be something that we're really more along the lines with when we're comparing things, because what's happening here is you really are looking at an enterprise commercial grade blockchain. Now, somebody mentioned about BTC. Again, it's just not even really something to compare to, unfortunately, because it's not enterprise grade, it's not commercial grade, it doesn't do transactions on chain peer to peer. It's something different completely. It's about it's more of a financially trading speculated asset. That's BTC. So it's hard for us to even put this into the same dimension. But my whole thing is about, there is going to be a flippening, and that's my coin for what's happening, because with BTC, even though it's not really something we can compare it to, it's the only thing that's inevitable to flip is once this commercial grade enterprise artificial intelligence adoption happens on, and people use the word BSV because that's really kind of just a ticker of what the symbol says when you go to CoinMarketCap, but that again goes back into fintech. What I'm talking about is Bitcoin. When the Bitcoin adoption happens, the whole market will flip. And we don't have, the reason I'm telling you people here is not really because it matters or I get anything out of it. In fact, you're not the target audience. The target audience is commercial grade enterprise adoption, the giant industry. That's it. It's not you guys on this call, but I care about you. I mean, I care about Casey. I love her, and I love, meeting people in person.
Well, it's
And I care about
public
talking about it.
sentiment, right? Public sentiment directs those decision makers.
Yes.
Right. So I mean,
Yes.
we do matter,
We
right? And I
do.
think education like this is really important. And so with these movies that you're knowledgeable about and participating in, can you tell us about those? And they come out next year. There's a documentary and a feature.
Yeah. So there's two films. One's a documentary and one's a Hollywood feature film. So we don't have production dates on those yet, meaning that there's no exact release date. It's got to get through Cannes, and that's actually happening right now as we speak. So you got to think about there's possible objections that are going to happen to the film coming out, and I mean we got to think worst case scenario. We there's last year a film won Cannes. And this was actually at the Las Vegas convention. Jack Dorsey was there, and he was talking about how I think it was Edward Snowden and Julian Assange, they had a documentary that came out, and they won the film festival. And then they got blocked for distribution, and they couldn't get the film out. So the best film at the festival, number one, it won. And so,
But couldn't they just put it on YouTube?
Well, okay, okay, yeah, we could put it on my YouTube channel, and yeah, of course. Of course,
like
we can
decentralize it, just send it out as like a file.
But when we're talking about doing a Batman Returns, Dark Knight style film, it doesn't go on YouTube. Okay.
They need to recoup their funds too.
Yeah,
The investment.
this is $70 million already into the film, and so it's not a YouTube video. We're talking about a major production right now. The main star in the film is actually a guy who is well known from Saturday Night Live. And he's apparently, if you really kind of search the bots right now, it looks like he's the number top 100 most famous people in the world right now, and that's a guy called, why am I drawing a blank? Who's playing Calvin, Casey? What's his name again? It's
Was that Pete Davidson?
Pete Davidson. And he's playing the Titan of blockchain. Now, this is a super called Calvin Ayre. This is a super important character in this whole narrative about what's going on, because there's one guy that saved the protocol, and his name's called Calvin Ayre. Love him, hate him, dude. Without Calvin, we aren't even here. Okay, he's what's called the very first mover. He's the Titan who invested in saving the protocol, and it wasn't cheap. Some people estimate it's up to $2 billion right now.
Calvin.
Ayre, Calvin Ayre.
Thank you. Thank you for my notes.
Yep.
Yeah. So Calvin, some people estimate it's up to $2 billion. I don't know what he's invested. Okay, it's a lot. All right. He's the first whale institutional style investor over the space. So it's important because when you have a whale institutional style investor who's invested in the space, he has a lot to lose, but guess what? He keeps pushing along, and yeah, he's lost money, and so have a lot of other people, but that doesn't matter because this is a long-term vision, with the full enterprise adoption. Step back from the mic. I'm sorry. I'm too close to the mic, Casey? Is my mic off?
You sound okay to me.
It's great. I just said step back from the mic just a tiny bit because it sounded like you're kind of yelling into it a little bit, but I was just trying to text you that.
I also want to get to a couple hands.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Overlord.
How about audio problem? I'm sorry. Let me refetch.
Oh, that's
no
okay.
problem.
All right. Well, Overlord, when you come back up, we'll get to your hand. Sorry about that. And then Welcome Sleep and Nerd Savage has his hand up for a bit too. Hi, Sleep. Go ahead,
Hi,
Sleep.
everyone.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. Just chilling like a villain.
Awesome.
Yo,
Oh, you're
Sleep,
back.
you pulled up.
All right.
Yo, I just had to wait for Sleep. She rugged me before she came up so that I would know that she's here.
Yeah, let's not spread any false allegations. Okay, let's talk to Savage. Sorry. Hi.
Yeah.
Allegedly. So I just wanted to kind of get some foundational. You might have already told me, and I missed it. Like, so Gavin and Miss Casey, you met him in Las Vegas, and you guys do what? Like, are you affiliated with this coin, or like, is it you just believe in it a whole lot?
No, I see that there's a major, issue here with the narrative because of what this technology opens up for humanity and for, the future of finance when we are clearly in like a war for the future of finance as we speak. So I just see the potential for creators to monetize directly and own our data, and small businesses competing globally. I mean, ordinary people being able to participate in digital economies, like Gavin saying we don't matter, is true in a lot of ways, but this this technology allows for us to do so much and not need massive capital or permission from any gatekeeper. So I see huge potential in that for the ordinary person, and that's one of the reasons I'm at the table. But
So
Gavin, I co-host for his podcast, which he has that talks about more of the enterprise and institutional adoption, and it's called the Great Bitcoin Flippening series, where we've been interviewing the experts that have actually scaled this technology, so it's inevitable for it to flip.
I'm writing all of this down. Um, Okay, I forgot what question I was going to ask after that, but I'm very interested, and it's okay if I ask tough questions. I'm using the internet to like kind of dive into it, and because I'm kind of blind on it, so I'm just kind of like trying to find where the rough pieces are so we can And I don't expect you to know everything. If you guys are just here trying to help us out and spread the word about this cool opportunity, and you're not like affiliated, so it's not like, if you're here doing
No,
something.
it's like the fact that Bitcoin was given to us 2008, and then the people that have been destroying the planet and farming humanity have hijacked the technology and taken it from us, and I'm here to bring it back. So a lot of the people that are at the front lines of restoring the technology and advocating for it, that's why we're here, because this was supposed to be something that we had as a gift from Satoshi and from Craig Wright to like I said, enable liberation on a lot of different levels, and it was taken. So I don't know, that's just to me not okay. So restoring that
Mhm.
narrative and helping promote things like this movie that are on the front lines of doing that. And it's not about the price. It's obviously I've been here working for free for a long time, just advocating, but also trying to build, what does the world need is the question we need to start asking ourselves, because the technology is here to, MetaNet Academy is metanetacademy.com. You can go right now. If, even if you're not a coder, with the advent of AI, anybody can build anything they want to see in the world on Bitcoin right now. All the tools are there and all the GitHubs, and, I can just point you in those directions. But it's just the possibilities are endless for us to take our power back and power over, the internet back.
Yeah,
So.
thank you for sharing that. That's what I was wondering is what the drive was, and it's the fact that the technology and the promise kind of got taken and skewed, and you're just looking for a place to get the power. That makes sense to me. Thank you for sharing that with your passion. And then this movie, what's up with the movie again? I'm sorry, I'm slow. Just bullet point, like the movie is.
So there's a movie coming out this year. Some major people like Casey Affleck playing Craig Wright and Pete Davidson playing Calvin Ayre. So those two guys, Calvin Ayre and Craig Wright, teamed up to save the protocol of Bitcoin. And it is the story. I think the opening scene of the movie is Craig Wright slitting his neck and bleeding out in the bathtub because he was trying to commit suicide because he was so upset with what was happening with Silk Road and Bitcoin and everything, the hijacking of it. And so his wife saves him, and then they go into the entire story of, restoring the original protocol and setting it in stone. So now developers can actually build the
Think,
next evolution of IPv6 on top of it. So that's
yeah, think,
this story.
think like think Born Identity meets Social Network. That would be a good example. Born Identity series meets Social Network, the movie about Facebook versus the spy thriller. It's the producer who did Social Network and the director who did Born Identity, who are doing this film together. And so
Oh,
it's,
that should be dope. That should be really good.
yeah,
Um,
it should
Well,
be.
have you seen the trailer for the Finding Satoshi?
Well, hold on.
uh,
There's no trailer yet, and I don't want to get too. Let me just kind of just build on this a
Mhm.
minute. So there's no trailer. It's not matured yet. Now there is a fake movie out there called Finding Satoshi, which is really bad. It's just a YouTube film. This is a major Hollywood blockbuster film, that Dark Knight, Born Identity style, meets Social Network. It's going to be a spy thriller, which is, if it gets past cans, which it's going to happen, it will freaking change the world. All right. It's going to change the whole narrative on Bitcoin. And the documentary piece is going to break down the court cases. The court cases will show you, for just a regular person who isn't kind of familiar with this, what happened is there was a court case in 2018 that got brought from the Kleiman estate, a guy called Ayre Kleiman, who was the older brother of a guy called Dave Kleiman. He found out that his younger brother, he had about 300,000 potential Bitcoin on his computer from some emails from Craig Wright. So he said, "Hey, wait a second." And he brought it to some attorneys, and they said, "What? How much Bitcoin? That's worth maybe $100 billion." So they sued Craig, and they said, "We want to get half of all this Bitcoin that you have," which was about 1.1 million, according to the back and forth Bitcoin. That trial went on for 5 years. It was a bloodbath. And, at the end of the trial, so this film is going to kind of go through the narrative of the killing Satoshi trial. That's the first one. And so after that bloodbath of a trial, the jury came back in Florida that there was no partnership, meaning that the Kleiman estate, he was not part of the setting up and mining all those original Satoshi Bitcoins. And it was only Craig. They didn't make a finding that he was Satoshi in the first court case, but it came out that there was 3 people: Dave Kleiman, a guy called David Reese, who was a cryptographer who worked with Alan Turing on code breaking in the Enigma project, and then of course Craig Wright, who's considered Craig just like kind of like Steve Jobs of Apple. Steve Jobs did not build Apple. That was Wozniak. He was the brainiac genius building all the code. But Craig Wright was Steve Jobs. He did some coding, but he wasn't the best coder. Okay? There was other people that helped him, including David Reese. So that's the first film. And then the other one's going to break down, the documentary would also talk about the COPA case. And that's where I came in and I did all the reporting on that case, every single day of the trial, like 40 plus days that we had court, and went back and forth about the naming, about the name Satoshi Nakamoto, and the rights to the Bitcoin white paper, which was determined in the COPA case that Craig Wright wasn't that person. And so the killing Satoshi is actually an alternative narrative to winning that COPA case. I mean, this is such a high level strategy that people are going to find out that has gone into this. It's at such a high level, at billionaire industry level strategic thinking about this project. And the idea is that we want to get the narrative correct so that the people see what happened with Bitcoin and the hijacking of it. And so they'll have the opportunity when the flippening happens, because it will happen overnight. It's not a long-term thing. I don't know when it's going to happen, but the miners will shift the economic, all of the hash power to the original chain. It's only going to go one place, BTC to BSV. It's not going to go to Ethereum. It's not possible. It has to be on SHA-256. So when it flips, it will flip overnight. But I don't know when it's going to happen. I'm predicting within the next 12 to 18 months. This movie is going to be a big part of that actual flippening as the adoption happens, because with AI, it's happening much faster than we can believe. So if you want to get rich...
Okay, real quick, just if I can jump in. So what I'm seeing is what you're saying is when there's a commercial grade enterprise adoption, which is the huge corporations, right? The point of sale